But is death penalty really a deterrent in rape cases and crimes against women? Police and judicial reforms the real solution? Is the new Bengal law simply playing to the gallery? Is fast-track justice possible without judicial reform? Joining me now, Lalitha Kumaramangalam is the former chairperson, National Commission for Women. Satyapal Jain, Additional Solicitor General in this government. Dr. Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, joins me. Rizwan Siddiqui, lawyer at the Mumbai High Court, joins me. Appreciate your joining us. Kiran Bedi, your view. This law says that capital punishment for persons convicted of rape if their actions result in the victim's death or leave her in a vegetative state, stipulates life sentence without parole for those convicted of rape and gang rape. Do you really believe that having these stern laws will change anything on the ground?
They're only strengthening the existing laws, because here is a case where she has been murdered as well. And in this, she's one of the rarest of the rare cases. And if investigated well, with proper evidence, which is beyond reasonable doubt, the court could have given her a death penalty. So with this new law or without this, the new law is talking about death penalty in a gang rape. In a gang rape, that too with a minor. But this case, by the way, there are other states also who pass certain similar other laws which you can be checking. But I would think it's a reinforcement. All that was needed was a fast-track court. It's expeditious trial, because it's that which is going to be improved, not just the law, because law needs to be executed.
So you're saying, ma'am, it's not about death penalty being part of the law, because in many states many states have implemented similar laws. Death penalty is on the statute books. You're saying what is the real need is fast track courts. Am I correct? It's not about
Absolutely.
It's not about the certainty. It's about the surety that you get it within a fixed period of time.
Fast track with investigation. Now the investigation with the CBI. The ball is in the court of CBI. How much correct, good evidence has it been collected despite the scene of crime having been contaminated? I think that's the real challenge. Is evidence before the court and a fast track court. That is what is required, which means she should have had a fast track identified court and then make sure that that court is resourced so that it does deliver on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, Lalitha Kumaramangalam, your views on this. Is it really a deterrent? After the Nirbhaya case, similar outrage resulted in eventually the rapists and murderers being hanged, but that hasn't really changed anything on the ground. NCRB reports still say a woman is sexually assaulted in this country every 9 minutes.
Yes, Rajdeep, I agree with you. Now, I partly agree with what Mrs. Bedi said, but I think it's not just in the investigation that we fall short. It's also in the fact that the implementation of the investigation is very difficult, because we have such poor forensic laboratories even now in most parts of the country. One, and two, the death penalty it's like a cleft stick. Yes, up to an extent, it is a deterrent, but on the other hand, because the knowledge of the law and social media, etc., is so much better nowadays than it was, say, perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, very often victims are killed because the perpetrators feel that then they won't get caught. But the truth here is that the death penalty is as good or as bad as many of the other things that are available, punishments that are available for rapists, including what has been mentioned in the West Bengal bill, where they talk about life imprisonment without parole.
Okay. So
the real truth here is, Rajdeep, that we have two fast-track courts. We need to not just fast-track the process of investigation and justice has to be fast-tracked. And for this, we must have judicial accountability and accountability at various levels of the police, bureaucracy, politicians, etc. Because the police, every time you criticize them, very often turn around and say that, look, what am I to do? You know, my neck is in the hands of these guys. I have to do what my bosses tell me to do. So there has to be a law that covers also these issues and a law.
Okay, I take your point, ma'am. I take your point, Lalitha Kumaramangalam.
Yeah,
I want to bring in for a moment the Additional Solicitor General Satyapal Jain. Satyapal Jain, Maharashtra passed such a law, it's lying with the center. The center believes that there is an overlap with the existing provisions of the Indian Penal Code. Andhra Pradesh has passed a law. Now West Bengal does it after a horrific Kolkata rape and murder takes place. Is this simply playing to the gallery? Does this really change? Will this change anything on the ground?
I personally feel that the death penalty will certainly act as a deterrent, and I am in favor of imposing death penalty on such type of people who commit these type of heinous crimes. But let's not forget one thing: death penalty is the last step in the case of a trial. So you impose death penalty after the complete and full trial of the accused. If it takes 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, then after 4, 5, 6 years, the imposition of death penalty loses its full impact, because by that time things get changed. Therefore, as Mrs. Bedi said, I am in favor of death penalty, but at the same time, I am suggesting two things. Having my experience of about 45 years as a lawyer, number one, I feel now time has come when there should be a national investigating agency like CBI for investigating the crime against the women, including sexual assaults, because otherwise we have seen each party, each state government blaming other. In your state there were more crime, in your state there were more rapes, in my state there were less rapes. Let's not leave it to the local police or any other agency. Let there be a national investigating agency.
You're saying specialized. You're saying a specialized investigation. No, but why do I? No. But Mr. Jain, if I may intervene, why do I need a specialized investigating agency? You have enough. It's not about what is the specialization needed for crimes against women.
Because of the fact that nowadays the type of informations, I will use the word information, that we are getting after Bengal, Nirbhay and all that, these people are adopting measures where it becomes difficult even for the CBI to go and apprehend the people in a simple manner. So these investigations like the NIA, like the CBI, they will be experts who will examine and get the evidence immediately, forthwith, will not permit the police, as the allegation is against West Bengal police, that they helped in destroying the evidence. These types of things can be avoided. Number one. Number two, fast track courts, time bound, but take a decision within 2 months, 3 months or 5 months. And one more point which I am suggesting, all these cases, because death penalty goes to High Court and Supreme Court, I think in these such matters, since matter ultimately goes to Supreme Court and High Court takes 4 or 5 years, ultimately it is appreciated by the Supreme Court. Let there be an appeal like the AFT cases, other cases, from the fast track straightway to the Supreme Court, so that within 1-2 years you are able to execute.
Okay, so you're saying maximum 2 years. But look, Rizwan Siddiqui, let's take a look at this Kolkata rape and murder. By all accounts, the DNA matching has been done. If the DNA matching has been done, if the right person has been accused, the right accused has been caught, he deserves a fair trial, but he deserves a fast-track trial. Now, the fact is that won't happen. Even in Nirbhaya, it took more than 7 years before actually those who were caught were eventually hanged. And it's no deterrent. There's another debate whether we should have capital punishment at all. You're mute. You're on mute, Rizwan.
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have a very different take to this entire situation. See, first and foremost, the first question is that whether a capital punishment would act as a deterrent to a person committing a crime. So let me first address that issue. 99% people who commit these kind of crimes, they are so confident that they will not get caught. So the issue is at the first stage, whenever a person is committing a crime, does he even think remotely of getting caught and getting hanged? The answer is no. So when we talk about acting as a deterrent to a person, to scaring a person who's committing a crime, the issue is that he does not even think in that direction. So that will definitely not act as a deterrent. Now, the second part is that once the person gets caught and there is an entire process of investigation that follows. Now, the investigation, normally what happens in an investigation, the head of the investigation is the law enforcement agency. The law enforcement agencies do their own investigation in the entire way, in a particular way that they feel is right. The magistrate steps in or the sessions court steps in only at the last minute once the charge sheet is filed, and then he becomes then he is entitled to look into the investigation report filed under Section 173 of the earlier Act. And then the questions are raised and then the trial starts. So the trial which starts, that itself takes a very, very long time.
How
so
long? Can you tell my viewers, how long do you believe even in a Kolkata rape and murder case where, as I said, it appears that the accused the correct person has been apprehended, how long will it take?
See, according to me, unless and until it is not really pushed, it may take, in an ordinary circumstances, it may take about 5 to 7 years. But in a special case, it may still take about a year, 2 years, or 3 years also. And then comes an appeal and then further appeals. And that is exactly what my learned co-panelists also address those issues, that the trial, when it reaches the final stage up to the Supreme Court, takes a lot of time. And the issue is the process cannot be looked at in a very isolated manner. It has to be looked at, firstly, whether it will act as a deterrent. Secondly, whether the trial will be, the trial will be effectively, carried out, and basically the punishment, which is the final step of a trial. The punishment would be the final step of a trial.
So you're saying
to reach that final step,
step will take 5 to 7 years, which you're saying cannot be short-circuited. Can it be short-circuited by fast-track courts?
Yes, it can be. See, I'll tell you what. The magistrates are not, called as judges. Magistrates are called as judicial officers. The judges start from the sessions court. So what I'm trying to say is that the judges and the magistrates have all the powers within them to look into these kind of issues, to even address issues, to even put questions, to look into the investigation, and they cannot be, held absolutely unaccountable in a situation like this.
Yeah, but we've seen in these cases, look at the burden on the courts. Look at the average number of cases that a magistrate or a judge is handling. You'll need many more courts, you'll need many more judges, you'll need many more magistrates, which is where Kiran Bedi...
We have a special court.
Yeah, but you see, but we've seen even after Nirbhaya, some states have set up fast-track courts, some have not. Even Bengal has been behind the curve when it comes to fast-track courts, and judicial administration becomes a big issue. So, Kiran Bedi, at every stage, we've been talking in the past of police reform. At the end of the day, police reform, judicial reform are really the answer. As of now, simply saying, we'll give the death penalty is not going to be a deterrent, as Rizwan says.
Rajdeep, the new laws which have come in force under the Criminal Procedure Code, which was the name, has stopped limited adjournments. It's got very good provisions. Limited adjournments, number one. If the judge is not going to be present, he or she has to leave a replacement. Third, lot of audiovisual, lot of technology use, lot of expert on not oral but give written statements. If you would follow the new laws, and if the learned advocates would use that, you will have an expeditious trial. There is no chutti for a magistrate. He or she has to leave a replacement. Adjournments is limited. I think if we would do that, they will lead to an expeditious trial. Problem is, we are not picking it up.
No, but even in the Aparajita bill, the police are supposed to complete the investigation in 21 days. How will they do it? Is it feasible?
Why not? That is exactly what she, as a home minister, has to ensure, that the police delivers. The police delivers time-bound investigation, and the CBI in this case, CBI has done the investigation and they will take it to trial. But in the new trial, we have the benefit of no judgments, no absence, no chuttis of the magistrate. She or he has to leave a replacement. Similarly, rather than oral, produce evidence of experts on audiovisuals, the use of technology. If we follow those methods, we will have an expeditious trial. But the ball is in the court of the respective home minister of state. How do they leave investigation to professionalism? Do not interfere. Do not interfere later on. I think that's the key.
Okay. Yes, Rizwan, you wanted to make a quick point.
Yeah. So there have been laws even earlier, like for example, domestic violence cases where women are concerned. Laws over there are also very, very specific. In a check bouncing case, the trial has to be, finished in 6 months' time. So we've had these laws since donkey's years, where everything is supposed to be done in a time-bound manner, but still it does not happen. And the question here is whether the judge is there or not there. The problem is that the next date given is so long. Normally the dates that we get in cases like this is after 3 months, 3.5 months, 4 months. So the issue is not about what is the process, how effective is the process as a whole. So we've had these kind of cases, and we've had these kind of laws even earlier.
Right. Okay.
And
So you're saying it's not about the law,
ago.
it's also then about political will, Lalitha Kumaramangalam. Somewhere, it is about showing that political will that, look, we are going to implement these laws to the fullest. It's all very well because the Kolkata rape and murder resulted in outrage, people are waking up, but it didn't need a rape and murder like this to wake up. It didn't need Nirbhaya to wake up. That's the problem. The system wakes up after. And then once the outrage is over, we go back to normal.
I agree totally with you there, Rajdeep, regardless of the state, regardless of the party, etc. It is in the implementation that we have really, just not been good enough. And this includes, judicial reforms is fine, so is police reforms. But in both these, we need to also have accountability built into these laws. Whether it's the politician, whether it's the policeman, whether it's the judiciary, whether it's some rich guy who's throwing his money around, whatever, whether it's a big company, I don't care, political party, unless accountability is built into these reforms, just saying that it must be done in 20 days or 50 days, I think it's unfair to the system. It's
so you're saying the law will have to have you're saying the law will have to have a provision for accountability. It's not just enough to have a law, but failure to uphold the law should result
in there must be accountability.
Okay.
For those who are sitting in courts, there must be accountability. It's nice to set deadlines, but are those deadlines met? As you yourself pointed out, it took over 8 years for Nirbhaya's rapists and then another 2 years for them to be hanged. Appeal after appeal, date after date.
Satyapal, Jain, therefore, in conclusion, do you see any change really taking place? I want an honest answer. As someone who is an additional Solicitor General of the country, do you really see changes in the air, or this is all done for optics? It's all very nice optics, but the reality on the ground is that the system is simply unable to respond quickly enough.
You see, it's a fact that up to now, for the last few years, the system was not up to the mark. I am not saying that at the moment everything has been achieved, but after the introduction of the new laws, now many things have been simplified and trials will be expedited. Secondly, as the Chief Justice of India only 2-3 days back in a conference said that there is a basic need for reforms at the basic judiciary, at the trial court level. For example, now people are talking about the delay, adjournments and all that. Why? A judge is having 100 cases a day. Earlier, there was a problem in presentation, filing of challan, etc., recording of evidence. Now the new laws prescribe that you can record the evidence through VC. VCs are being provided in all the courts, in all the jails and all that. I think the procedure should be expedited. It is being expedited and now things will certainly improve.
Okay.
The only thing is that in case there is a willpower and judicial reforms, have more judges, give them more facilities, give them more space, give them more staff, so that they can record the evidence, they can record the statements of the accused, they have not to refer it to somebody else. With this awareness coming, and after the remarks of the Honorable Chief Justice of India 2 days back, I am very hopeful coming days things will see lot of improvement.
There's a lot of talk, sir, with due regard, sir. Sir, with due regard, I'm sorry to be cynical, there's a lot of talk, whether it's on personal liberty, whether it's on bail should be the rule, jail is the exception, but on the ground, until we see... Yes, Ms. Bedi, you want a final point?
Yes, Rajdeep, I think we come back to become victim-centric. At the moment, our whole system is more towards accused-centric. I think the day we all processes become victim-centric, you will see the change. Prosecution victim-centric. Police victim-centric, these judgments victim-centric. You victim must get the rights back. So far, the victim has been a victim, actually.
Okay.
And everything has been more accused-centric. Let's drive the balance back.
Okay, let me leave it there. I appreciate my guests joining us. Clearly, this has triggered off a debate. The very fact that there is so much of talk now at the moment on rape cases and how to deal with them is perhaps a positive sign. Out of that, hopefully, something will emerge that acts as an effective deterrent. In my view, nothing better than judicial and police reform first, not necessarily having the death penalty.